up and introduce his panel guest.
Thank you very much, Ato, and good morning, everyone, and good to see you here. As we continue to learn, I would like to mention that, unfortunately, we are hard-pressed with time, so we're going to go easy. Someone asked me, how is it going to be? I said, well, it's going to be just like a miniskirt, short enough to catch your attention, but long enough to cover all the details. Thank you very much. Without much ado, I'd like to call up stage. And one thing I'm going to do is to share the bios of the panel members, whilst I just call them up by their names, so you can take a good look at them. I would like to call on Catherine Obin, Engineer Bernard Ousudankwa. Please come up stage. Let's do it for them, please. Let's welcome them with a round of applause. And then Kwaku Hatchful, please come up stage. Kwaku Hatchful is the co-founder and the CEO for Dreamover. Catherine leads the PMO and IT background, the PMO of Fidelity Bank. And then Engineer Bernard is an engineer and a project manager for ECG. Many would like to refer to Kwaku Engineer Bernard as the Blue Ocean Man. So, we all know how the pandemic has brought untold hardship on individuals and organizations. Nonetheless, we are not going to magnify the negatives whilst we downplay the positives. At least there have been some positives. That is why we are here this morning to discuss the digital transformational trends, the successes in challenging times, or the successes in spite of the challenges. Without wasting much time, I'll move straight to my panel members for their first words. I'll start with Catherine.
Hi, good morning once again. And it's a privilege to be here. We've just heard a wonderful presentation by William on digitalization and its impact on the telco industry. The banking sector was not spared. We are also taking the great strides in terms of enabling our environment to give our customers in terms of choice of services. And I think in the last 18 months, what technology should have led, COVID-19 led, in terms of catapulting the changes, transformational changes needed in many industries. In the banking sector, certainly I can speak of digital transformation in the last 5 years or so. However, the pace was slow. And as I've mentioned, due to COVID-19, suddenly we found ourselves having to innovate at a greater speed to deliver products and services on platforms to enable our customers to reduce the physical contact and the brick and mortar means of delivering services. It's been a great opportunity, I think, for us tech enthusiasts. Now, I think Mr. Tete talked about the app being an enabler and delivering all services. Now I can speak to customers of the bank doing their banking from the comfort of their own homes. We have WhatsApp banking as an example. We have the app where you can make payments. Several other services are available online to enable our customers to reach the banking services that previously would have been a physical encounter through our brick-and-mortar outlets.
Thank you so much. So we can see where Catherine is coming from. Let me move straight to Kwaku. What do you think in all these will be some of the successes that have been achieved in possibly your area of expertise?
Thank you very much, and it's a pleasure to be here. I believe that in the last 18 months, as Catherine said, we've seen the COVID-19 crisis act as a catalyst to the adoption of digital services. And, I'm in the fintech space, and we've been sort of laying the foundation for digitalization, right, where we're able to move money from here to there. But there's always been a gap when it comes to digitalizing the customer interaction. And we've seen that for companies that have been ready or have been investing in digitalization, we've seen them see successes when it comes to customers now accessing their services over digital channels, right? So I'm sure as we go along and as we discuss, we can give examples, but definitely I think even looking at virtual schooling, right? For those who have been privileged enough to go to schools where virtual schooling is an option, we've seen young children who have been able to quickly become computer literate and doing wonderful things and changing the way things are happening. And this overall creates an opportunity for us to create value for our customers and for our businesses as well, despite the fact that we are in a crisis at the moment. Thank you.
Sure, thank you very much. Engineer, what do we say, or what can be said in your area?
Okay, so thank you so much for the opportunity. Obviously, I work in the power sector. I'm very much enthused about disruptions in industry because where I work, I look around the environment to see whether my job is going to be relevant or sustainable in the next few decades. And what we see that, yes, we have digitalization activities going on in the power sector, possibly not at the speed that we are seeing it happening in fintech environments and educational environments and maybe payment environments and all of that. But the pace of renewables and energy storage is moving on and is catching on. Some of us know what Tesla is doing, what the likes of the Chinese are doing with their power panels and all of that. So, I mean, the whole digital environment presents a threat as well as an opportunity for industries. And for the energy sector, I would dare say that we cannot sit idle. Yesterday, I made a presentation and I said that there are no safe havens anywhere in any business environment because competition is catching on all over the place because of the advancement of digitalization. So I believe as we move on, as we look at the trends, I'll raise some of the trends that are coming up in the energy sector with respect to renewables and energy storage, so that we'll be careful as leaders or project managers in the environment to always do that SWOT, always scan that environment and see how best we can become relevant. As yesterday Taka was saying, that as leaders we have to examine our workspaces and see whether we become relevant in the next age of digitalization so that we can keep pace. Thank you.
Thank you very much. In fact, I would want to make this particular discussion very relevant and peculiar to each and every one of us here. So back to Catherine, how would Ghanaian businesses be able to take advantage of these success stories, probably roping in some other technologies, new trends, in order to stay relevant?
Yeah, so I think there are many opportunities that digitalization presents, and the Ghanaian market, I think we are still a little behind the curve, if you asked me. However, we need to be creative and innovative in terms of now. I still would call data poverty, which is the ability and the sufficient provision for individuals to have access to data to access the services and products that are on any digital platforms. There is certainly a great opportunity in terms of increasing the scope of products and services that perhaps are not reliant on data usage. And I think it speaks rightly to the points that Mr. Tete made earlier in terms of the OTTs. I see more opportunities there for industries such as the banking, where they've seen the telcos as a threat, and now it's an opportunity, I think, for us to work and collaborate with some of the fintechs as well as the OTTs to deliver services and digitalized products for where we see data poverty, as I would classify it. And I think for Africa and in Ghana, that's where we need to be focusing on. So any opportunity in that space, I think, presents a big chunk of cake that needs to be carved up, or businesses need to look at taking a piece of that cake at the earliest opportunity, and that comes with innovation and creativity in that space.
So, to the man in the fintech space, what do you think for the Ghanaian business not to see the fintech space as abstract, but something that can be tapped into to be able to stay relevant?
Yeah, so I think fundamentally, and again I'll reference William's presentation, so businesses need to disrupt or they'll be disrupted, right? And I think that's the key lesson that they need to, or key takeaway that businesses have to, that businesses take away when they look at the success stories, right? Right now, everybody's being forced to digitalize, right? Everybody's being forced to process payments, right? And even beyond processing payments. Now, customers are spoiled for choice, right? There are so many services competing with each other and so on and so forth. So as a business, you cannot stand by. You need to experiment. You probably need to invest a lot in innovation. And I think experiments especially. I think experiments prepare you for opportunities, right? And also, taking a lot of data, getting closer to your customers so that you can understand what the possibilities are when it comes to digitalization, right? So because it's fast changing. It's the landscape, especially in the fintech space, has changed greatly. There have been regulations, right? And you don't know what's going to happen in the business space as well. So you always have to be on your toes, on the lookout, and also, getting closer to your customers to understand their needs and what they want. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, Engineer, ECG has been viewed as, of those in the power industry have been viewed as an industry that is so stuck in the old ways of doing things. And, I only saw a smart meter in my house where you can buy credit on your phone via MTN mobile money or any other mobile money. And I think that is smart. In addition to this, what other technologies do you think, let me say, a Ghanaian company in the power sector needs to, have a look at?
Okay, so if you look across the demand supply chain of the power sector in Ghana, I'll admit, yes, we've not moved at the pace at which digitization has gone on, but at least you admit that you have a smart meter in your home. That at least is a first step to let you know that we are moving on with the times, all right? It's not easy in the power sector because the whole operations of the power sector is that complex, you understand? I don't see how much the extent to which exploration of fossil fuels or the conversion and processing of oil could be digitized aside the application of some form of tools, AI tools that helps with data analysis and all of that. The whole work is such complex that it is difficult to digitalize most of the processes aside the data part. Okay, so possibly that's why you have not seen that. But then when it comes to engagement and interaction with the customers, that is where we are introducing things like the apps that you could buy power from on your smart meter, and we are introducing more smart meters that could, have better interactions with the customer. And I'm happy to say this, that in this forum, we have one of the top ladies in our company who manages all our metering and technical services right at this forum. And the way she's moving, and the company is moving along with smart meters, a time will come you'll be able to, and in fact, those of you already using smart meters, when you look at your bill and you go through the app, you can even see your consumption patterns and possibly areas where you consume more. You could even analyze it yourself. So the whole space is becoming an ecosystem where because you are in the industry 4.0, connectivity is key. So a customer will want to know which devices, when I switch off at certain times, will save me consumption. So the opportunities are out there, but then we have to issue the caveat that it is not easy to move on with advancements of technology because it comes with funding. It comes with equality, inclusiveness. How many customers does ECG have that have even access to a smartphone? Yes, today we say even a Kaya or somebody who pushes a truck has a smartphone. But what is the knowledge? What is the extent of education to be able to use these tools and systems that are available to be able to have access to? So we have a whole lot of education to do regarding our customers in order to bridge that gap of interaction that we currently have as a company. And I think with ECG, doing most of these educations at various customer centers, we'll get there and then we'll be able to bridge that connectivity gap.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
So I think it's also opportunity in terms of how we digitalize processes and information capture. I think the data that we receive, it's absolutely critical in terms of designing new products and services in the future. So I'm sure many of us here have heard it said many a times that data is gold. Yeah. Now, whilst we put various points of data capture to capture people's email addresses, their phone numbers, their contact details, even what type of meter they have, it is an opportunity for us to harness that data, I think, to then create or model services that suits the customer needs by looking at trends and profiles and behavior on the digital platforms as we move through. So I think that presents a great opportunity for many businesses to harness and utilize data, which is gold in this day and age, as I would say.
Thank you very much. Before I come back to you, Catherine, I would like to implore Ato, the MC, please get me 3 questions from the audience. You can note them down. When I go around, I'll come back to you, and then we can take just three questions from the audience. Thank you. Catherine, back to you. In Audis, as project managers, what is the role of a project manager in Audis?
It's an excellent question. In the era of digitalization, I think project managers, we are the forefront of this, a great opportunity as I see it. I think it's about skills, it's about talent, and yesterday, the closing remark of the chapter president spoke about continually learning and reading. It's important for us to keep abreast of changes, and again, back to Taka's point, scan the environment to see what changes are happening out there. Let's keep ourselves up to date and make sure that our talents and skills are as relevant and possibly more innovative and creative in advance or above the curve where everyone else is. I think without project management, yesterday some numbers were put on there about the opportunity of projects that are going to be happening in the next 10 years or so. Again, without project managers, many of these projects or proposals would not come to fruition. So I think we are the forefront of change. It's a great opportunity for us to, I think, impact positively on the digitalization era, as it were.
Thank you very much. And same question to...
I think it's a great time to be a project manager, right? The job market will be booming for project managers as lots and lots of digitalization projects that are going on. Similar to what Catherine just said, I believe that it's important to develop, project managers need to develop themselves in terms of knowledge around the digitalization, and then also developing around the agile way of executing these projects, because as we've discussed severally, we know that we need to be really fast. We need to adapt. We need to test the market. We need to go out with minimum viable products and so on and so forth. So in terms of my perspective, in terms of projects that we've run and projects that are in our pipeline, I think that we need project managers that are very agile and also develop themselves as subject matter experts in this whole digitalization drive that's going on. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Engineer, yes.
Yeah, so yesterday Jonathan made a statement that the demand for project managers is going to grow, right? Especially in this era of COVID that we are in. A lot of businesses are going to change their perspective in how they run the operations. So yesterday at one of the breakout sessions, there was a KNUST lecturer, Godwin, who made mention of something called REFS, an acronym called REFS. It is that project managers, as we lead organizations in delivering their strategic initiatives, we have to scan the environment to see if we are ready. Have we done an evaluation of the environment? Have we planned for the change, agility, the change that is coming? And are we looking at the steps that project managers are going to look at to ensure that their businesses or their companies are sustainable? So in my presentation yesterday, I did state categorically that we are tacticians already in our own field as project managers. We are tacticians. But according to a survey by McKinsey, just being a project manager now doesn't cut anymore. It's not enough to be just a project manager. Have the project management skills, knowledge areas, the tools. You need to transition into business strategy. So the change that is coming, project managers must be prepared. And yesterday, Jumoke made a remark that is why PMI constantly is also reviewing the talent triangle. So now we are looking at business acumen. The project manager is somebody who understands the changing evolutions in the business space. We are looking at ways of work. There's something called digital twins in today's technology trends. Digital twins basically means that we are, because of COVID, we are moving from a space of physical engagement to virtual engagement. How is the project manager integrating that into project delivery? So we have to look at all these dynamics, the power skills. We just need to keep on upgrading and upgrading ourselves so we are relevant. Otherwise, a time will come, the leaders or the managers will still manage projects. They will never get delivered. As we have heard, over 50% of businesses fail and 30% of investment put into projects are not recouped. We'll get there and then we will not become relevant. So we have to keep upgrading our skills, keep upgrading ourselves and scanning our environment so that we can lead that change that will propel our businesses to the blue ocean side of the market. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So back to the audience, the questions, please make it snappy.
Right,
as
so
I mentioned.
1, 2, 3, 4, and that's
Yes.
pretty fine. That's pretty much it for today on this
Please,
segment.
let's make it snappy like miniskirt. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Mine is more of contribution. There's an article from PMI. Have you been reading the Pulse of the Profession? 2021, it talks about beyond agility. So to survive, you need to be overly agile. So now this is a term that PMI basically uses now. Call it gymnastic. So you need to now become a GE, gymnastic enterprise. And this is what they do. They try to be, they look to upscale, look for well-rounded people, and they embrace change. And these people are not just reactive. They go out to look for issues. They think ahead, 5 years ahead, always, ahead of the curve. So that is the way to go. Now, for me, digitalization is all about making life easy for customers, making life easy for your people. And to do this, you have to embrace digital solutions. So you always have to be thinking and satisfy the insatiable appetite of your people. So it takes more. And for project managers, this is what we need to know. There's something called PMTQ, Project Management Technology Quotient. Quotient means ability. So you need to now have that fluency, digital fluency, to manage your people and also manage AI, digital employees, because we are now coming to have digital employees, AI, how to manage machines and all that. So we need to do more as project managers. We need to learn more. And, it's a never-ending curve so far as the learning is concerned. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. We have 2 more.
Yes, I think this was snappy. I'm going to make it snappy. Yes, as Catherine was talking, I actually picked my phone and quickly went to Fidelity app, just looked for Kukua. And I asked Kukua, in a matter of 5 seconds, I wanted to check my balance. And in less than 3 seconds, I had my Balance. Very beautiful. I love it. Right. Yes. Now, to ECG, I wish I could say the same.
This is not fair.
Well, a user is a user, and I think they need this. 2 months ago, I had a problem. Why? Because my phone automatically updated the ECG app. Through no fault of mine, I couldn't recharge. Thank God I had over 500 in my account. So, though I couldn't recharge, for about a month, I was looking for help. Help wouldn't come. And of course, it was still reducing. Thank God it didn't get to zero. But then, I called your customer service, something. And it was always one story upon the other. Recharge, I have recharged. Uninstall and reinstall. I did uninstall, reinstall. Still, I couldn't recharge. Then I called a friend who works in the ECG, who gave me the area, who gave me another engineer. I called the engineer and he was extremely rough. Well, I understand he's an engineer. He doesn't know. It's normal. Right. Well, I mean, we are fond of that as engineers. So now I was helpless. Now I called again and they are telling me that I should come to the closest ECG customer service center. In this COVID era, when am I going to get that opportunity? But never mind, I had to stay with the problem for 2 additional weeks, making 6 weeks. Then I called a friend again. He said I should hold on. He called another friend who works with that department to help me. Ladies and gentlemen, he said I should re-register. I registered 1, it didn't work. 2, it didn't work. 3, it didn't work. I forgot about it. 3 days later, I registered and it worked. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a big issue. Now, don't you think ECG is really in a hurry to digitalize, forgetting the customer? I honestly think that maybe we should segment ECG and give them direct competitors. So we give maybe Water, Greater Accra, Cape Coast, Central to ECG. If Ashanti, Brongafo to another player, give the Northern region to another player, then we can compare KPIs at the end of the year and see that ECG is really doing well. Right. Don't you think this would be the best approach?
Right. Thank you very much. And I allowed this our brother to go on because it's a genuine concern, but unfortunately it is out of scope of this discussion. And what I'm going to do is that I will link you right to Bernard. After this session, you can have a discussion. Thank you very much.
We have 3 more questions here.
One more, please.
Thank you very much. I would also like to find out, with this digitalization, are we going to have anytime soon? Unfortunately, I'm going to the ECG people again. Anytime when I can be at home and then maybe fill a form online, and then in a matter of hours or maybe a day, I get a new meter. I don't want to go queuing in the office and then that kind of thing. So from where he sits, I know he's not speaking for ECG, but from his view, how can digitalization help us achieve that? Thank you.
Right, thank you.
Please, the moderator says that's the last question.
So the last one that came, engineer, would want to take a bite, please.
Okay, so thank you for bailing me out with Jonathan. Jonathan, so you see me. But let me admit that ECG's app is barely 2 years in operation in terms of official launching of the app. And as we all understand, when apps launch, it takes time for them to become that solid. And the issue you had about having to re-register had to do with issues of cyber security. If you remember, Mr. Teta is here. MTN decided that all payment platforms that were using MTN numbers had to be validated so we could know the people who were actually doing those transactions and all of that. But I think we had a few challenges with people updating in the app. That's why I had those solutions. But good. See me, I'm here. I'll lead you to the right people so that you can get the assistance. Yeah, so to one of the delegates' question about digitalizing this whole space of meter acquisition. It can be done, and I think it will be done. Currently, ECG is deploying an ERP solution with SAP HANA 4. And those of you in the digital space who know what SAP does. So possibly we are doing it for internal operations, but I believe there will be a time where we will upgrade onto the customers. I mean, if banks are able to complete forms online, why can't ECG complete the meter processes online too? So we'll get there with time, and I'm sure it will be very soon. Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much. Let's keep the conversation ongoing outside of this session and conference. I'd like to say a big thank you to our panelists for coming, and thank you for sharing your knowledge with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Franco Du Asamoah. Thank you. You can do better for them. Thank you one more time.